Hey Sandra, are you there? I just wanted to let you know that I'm gonna have to work a bit of overtime today.
Oh, really? That's kind of weird, isn't it? You almost never have to work overtime, Jerry.
Well, the truth is that this morning my mom called my office. Like, she called me while I was at work.
Really? I thought you told her to try and just text you while you were at work, and not to go through the work phones. Do you think she just forgot or that she did this on purpose?
I think it was on purpose. But honestly, I really just can't believe that woman sometimes.
And let me guess, she was calling to demand that we move in with her again. Is that right?
You guessed it, right on the money. I really thought it must have been some kind of emergency for her to go and do that, but she was just being persistent.
Well, it's probably because she knows you'll just ignore her if she tries to call you on your phone.
I think you're probably right about that. But we've already talked about this over and over, and she doesn't seem to get it. And now, for her to keep ignoring the answers that we've given to her and insist on calling me at work is just too much. I mean, she was yelling at me over the phone for 2 whole hours. Can you believe that?
Your mom really talked to you about us moving in with her for 2 hours? Wow, I can't even imagine having to do that.
Well, anyways, I was so busy dealing with her that I wasn't able to get any work done, and that's why I'm going to be coming home a little late.
I see. Wow, I'm really sorry to hear about that, Jerry. That sounds like no fun at all.
I know, right? And then after I was finished talking to her, I just felt completely drained and I needed to use an hour of my time off just to go on a long walk.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to rest at least a little bit after having to deal with her.
You know, I was looking up how to deal with a persistent mom online, and apparently the kind of person she is usually called an energy vampire.
And what exactly does that entail? I mean, what even is an energy vampire?
Basically, what they do is they refuse to take no for an answer. They just refuse to believe that they can be wrong, and so will go on and on arguing until they get their way. So basically, it's pretty much exactly as it sounds like. They feed off of you pushing back against them until you have no more energy to fight, and just give up due to exhaustion.
Ah, well, that makes sense. I think I know a couple people like that myself. Of course, I can typically just avoid spending time with them. It would be different if I was related to them, though.
I mean, really. My mom just does whatever she wants with no regard for anyone else. And she's always loved my brother more than me. You know, she asked him about living together first, but when he said no, she didn't fight at all. Instead, she just turned around and started insisting that we all live together.
And that really is rough. I mean, I still remember when we got married. I don't think your mom gave us anything. But I remember when your brother George got married, your mom practically showered him in presents. I've always wondered how your mom can act that way when she should be treating you both equally. It just isn't fair.
Yeah, well, it's because to my mom, George is everything that a good son should be. He graduated from a good school and is working a high-paying job. She brags about him to anyone who will listen to her.
And that's what I mean. That isn't fair for her to compare you to someone you're not. She should love you for you.
Well, I really wish that that were the case, but I can't see any progress being made on that front until we're all living together. Which won't be happening, of course, but still.
No, you're right. I'm completely with you on this. I mean, I don't think your mom has really kept up with it at all since we got married. Ever since we did, she's just been keeping her distance and acting so coldly towards us. But after hearing about the horrible way that she treated you growing up, I just really don't think I could live with someone like her.
Well, don't you worry about that. We are never ever going to live together with my mom, okay?
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Jerry. But I am really sorry that she had to pull that stunt on you today while you were at work.
Yeah, but I told her that she was never ever allowed to call me at work again. Of course, I doubt that she'll listen to me. But I'll just try responding to her with the bare minimum needed to keep her from getting mad at me.
I really hope that works, Jerry. But just please don't push yourself too much with all of this, okay? And just know that if you want, I'll be more than happy to talk to your mom and tell her to back off.
You don't need to go and do that for me, Sandra. This is really more of an issue between my mom and I. I really don't want to get you sucked into this too.
Well, okay, if you're sure about that. But how about I cook you something special for dinner tonight? That way you can start to recover all the energy that your mom drained from you earlier today.
Now that is a plan that I can get behind. I just hope that this overtime goes by really quickly.
Me too, Jerry. for both of our sakes. But good luck at work. You got this.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a good day at work too, Sandra.
Sandra, are you there? I wonder if I might be able to have a word with you quickly. Hello, Tiffany. Yes, of course we can talk. What seems to be the matter? Before we get into that, I just want to ask you if you already know what this might be about. I'm sure that Jerry has said something to you, no? I suppose that means you're talking about moving in with us again, right? Of course that's what I'm here to talk to you about. Honestly, how dare you even pretend like you don't know what I'm talking about here? Well, I had just heard that Jerry already told you that it wasn't something that was going to happen. So I thought you might have to come talk to me about something else instead. Oh, I know what Jerry said to me, but this conversation is still so far from being over. Great. Well then, what is it that you'd like to talk about regarding that? Sandra, you need to tell my son that we're going to live together. Convince him for me. Sorry, you want me to convince Jerry to let you live with us? Am I getting that right? Of course! I mean, you two are probably thinking about having kids soon, right? Don't you think it would be a good idea to have someone like me at home then? You mean because both Jerry and I are going to continue working, you think you could be at home to take care of our children? Wait a second. You were thinking of working even after you have kids? Are you serious? That's absurd. I mean, I'm not going back to work right away. I'll rest a bit. But yes, I was thinking of keeping my job. Isn't that what you were getting at anyways with your suggestion? Don't you feel bad for how your child is going to end up if you do that? I mean, you'd be leaving your child in someone else's hands just for money? You're basically saying that you don't even want to be a mother. Look, Tiffany, I'm pretty confused by all of this, but I don't know what my plans for the future are exactly. But for now, I want to continue working so that I can help support my family. Do you even make that much money? I mean, what would even be the point of that? What about this then? What if you two just move in with me? Think about it. You wouldn't have to pay any kind of rent at all, and I could ask a friend to help you find some kind of part-time work. Then you would be able to work and take care of your kid at the same time. And when you were at work, I'd be able to look after them too. Actually, this is way better than me moving in with you. This is a great idea. Tiffany, please, we've talked about this, and both Jerry and I have told you that we want to keep working. The fact is that living together just isn't going to work. Besides, if we did go and move in with you, then that would mean that Jerry's commute would be something like 4 hours in total. You surely can't think that that's realistic to expect him to drive that much, right? Well, he would just quit his job when he comes here, of course. After all, didn't you know that I have some farmland out here? And besides, I need a son to take over the land so they can inherit it from me when I die. Wait a second. I thought that when your husband died, he said that he'd like his land to be worked by any of his relatives, but that it didn't really matter who. Well, sure. But if my son comes to live with me, then obviously that's a different story, right? Well, I thought that you were where you wanted to live with your eldest son, George, anyways, right? So why don't you go and talk to George and see if he wants to take over the family farm instead? Oh, I couldn't do something like that. After all, George has a good job at a really good company. What would be the point of making him toil like a farmer? It's Jerry who has never really been able to accomplish anything in his life at all. So I don't really see the point in him quitting to work the land. I really don't think that you're being too fair to your children at all. In fact, I didn't think we'd be having this conversation like this, but it's obvious that you care about George more than Jerry. Why do you treat Jerry and I like we're worse than your other son and his wife? Well, it's because George is amazing and Jerry is just, well, he's just normal. Besides, I raised those children from when they were born, so if I want them to do something for me now, they don't have a right to say no. And as for you, your job is to listen to your mother-in-law and agree with whatever she says. Okay, Tiffany, I'm busy working right now, so I'm going to go, okay? You know something, Sandra? This is why I don't like you. You're nothing but a spoiled city girl. Here I am offering a free house and a job on the farm. But I suppose that you're just too good for that, aren't you? Girls like you really make me mad. Well, if that's the case, then it sounds to me like it's a good thing that you and I aren't going to live together. And to think that Jerry used to be such an obedient boy. It's all your fault. He's changed ever since getting together with you. Well, I think that's good. I'm glad that Jerry has learned how to stand up to you. You don't know anything. You're just a spoiled brat who's not worthy to be my daughter-in-law. I mean, you two have been married for 3 years now, and you haven't even had a baby. You should just break up with my son. Well, that is just not going to happen. Jerry and I aren't going to break up, and you need to stop trying to get us to live together.
How dare you try and order me, your mother-in-law, around? You really know how to push my buttons, do you know that? I never ever want to see you again. Do you understand me?
Hey, Sandra. I just wanted to let you know that I was going to go to my mom's house after I finished work for the day.
Wait, what? You're going to go to your mom's house after work today?
That's right. I'm going to go to my mom's house after work today to talk to her about living together.
Are you just going to go there all by yourself? Are you really sure that's a good idea?
I just feel so bad for you getting involved in all this stupid family drama of mine. I'm really sorry for what my mom was saying to you the last time the two of you talked to each other.
Oh, that really is okay. I also told her some things that I had had on my mind for quite some time. But I suppose that I might have taken it just a little too far in some areas. I'm really sorry that I was mean to your mom.
But you didn't tell her anything that wasn't correct, Sandra. And I think that you did get across to my mom that you weren't interested at all in living with her. But this time, I'll go talk to her and make sure that she gets the message once and for all. Apparently even my brother is going to be there.
Oh, really? Well, I know that him and I haven't really talked all that much, but I really don't get a good feeling from him. I mean, the last time we saw George and his wife, they were laughing at us when we were talking about the situation with your mom.
Yeah, well, I guess no one can say that those two don't deserve each other, but it's very true that my mom spoiled George while we were growing up. And I think that's the reason why I kind of have a bit of a superiority complex around other people. Of course, it doesn't help that he's actually managed to make something of his life too.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if it's really a good idea for you to go to your mom's house alone. I mean, it's not like your brother is going there to tell your mom he wants to live with her. He's just going to be there to take your mom's side and put you down.
I have no doubt about it. But if things go bad, then I'm going to tell them both that I never want to see them again.
Are you really sure about this, Jerry? That's a big step, don't you think?
I thought that you wouldn't understand this, but it's been something that I've been thinking of doing for a long time now.
I see. Well, okay then. If that's the case, I want you to know that I'll always have your back in this.
Thank you so much, Sandra. As long as we can be together, that's all I want.
That's all I want as well, Jerry. No matter what happens, that's it. And good luck talking to your mom and brother today, okay?
Sandra, I'm so sorry for not getting back to you sooner. You must have been so freaked out when I just said I was going to my mom's and then never said anything else.
What? What are you talking about?
I mean about how I went to my mom's house to talk about her living together and stuff like that, right?
Right. What about it?
Well, anyways, I was finally able to see the error of my ways and how wrong I've been this whole time.
What in the world are you going on about now, Jerry?
I suppose I can't really blame you for being surprised about this, but I've really come to realize that family is the most important thing to me, and I can't turn my back on it. So that's why I'm not going to be going home, and I'll be wanting a divorce. I'll send the paperwork to you in the mail. Just sign it and send it to the courthouse for me, okay?
No, seriously. Who even are you right now? My husband is sitting right here next to me.
Sandra, what do you mean? It's me, Jerry. I'm the one messaging you right now.
Wait a second. This is just Tiffany, isn't it? I really can't believe that you would do something like this.
No, it's not. You have to believe me. It really is me.
It really isn't, though. I am literally here with Jerry, who came back home a couple of days ago. He told me about how you took his phone from him and tried to lock him in your house to trap him. So there's only one person who would have access to Jerry's phone right now. It's you. Can you please just quit this dumb act already? We really don't mind going to the police and reporting what you've done.
Wait a second. The police? You can't be serious about that, right? That's taking things way too far.
Haha, I knew it. I knew it was you, Tiffany.
No, you're wrong. Well, okay, you're not wrong. But I'm only trying to represent Jerry's best interest here.
Oh, really? Then why don't you try telling me what Jerry came back home to me then?
You don't understand. He already agreed that we would live together. You don't get to have a say in this at all. He is my son, and what I say goes. Maybe you might be able to speak up if you'd give me a kid already, but you haven't.
Is that really what you dislike me so much? Because we haven't had any kids?
It's the least you could do. I mean, Jerry's brother is amazing and talented and has a great job. Compared to him, Jerry has nothing going on for himself. He's completely average.
And just what is so wrong with being average? But more than that, what has George and his wife ever actually done for you? Of course he has given you plenty to brag about to others, but aside from that, what has he really done? I mean, when your late husband was in the hospital, it was Jerry and I who pulled our money together to help you pay for his bills. Not only that, but even before that, when you two had that big anniversary, we were the ones who paid for the trip.
You don't get it. George is the better son, and the proof of that is in the fact that he's too busy to work to do any of that.
Well, if you think he's really all that great, then it sounds like he's the one you should be living with. It's clear that you only think of Jerry and I as tools at your disposal, and we're not going to stand for that.
How can you tell me something like that when I raised my child ever since he was born?
Have you ever told George that to try and get something out of him? Do you really think that doing the bare minimum that a mother should give you control over your children? You only ever talk to us when you need something, and even then, you have to do it in the rudest way possible. We would never ever live with someone like you. I mean, you harassed your own son at work by keeping him on the phone for hours. If you don't leave my husband and I alone, we will call the police and I will sue you. So if that's what you want, then keep this up.
You mean that you would really call the police and sue a member of your own family? I don't think that Jerry would stand for that one bit.
Okay then, why don't you test that theory of yours then, huh? Because we've told you what's going to happen if you do. As of now, Jerry and I never want anything to do with you or the rest of your family again.
You mean you're going to just try and cut me out of your lives? You can't do this to me. Jerry would never go along with this.
Actually, it was Jerry's idea to do so. He told me that if you didn't listen to him when he went to talk to you, that's what he would do. But you took things way farther than just not listening to him, didn't you? You tried to imprison him in your own home. And you got Jerry's brother to help you do it too. Do you really think the police aren't going to do anything about this?
Please, don't call the police. They don't need to know about any of this.
We won't call the police or tell anyone about what you've done as long as you leave us alone.
Sandra, you really have to understand something. I have raised my boys from birth. And sure, I said plenty of horrible things to Jerry, and I put him down his whole life. But it doesn't mean that I don't love him.
And I suppose it's that same love that drove you to try and kidnap your own son, right? The fact is that Jerry and I have been there for you in every way that we were able to. And you only ever spit that kindness back in our faces. If you want to talk to us again, then I recommend finding a good lawyer first, because they're going to be the ones doing most of the talking.
How can you do this to me? How can you try to take my own son, my own flesh and blood from me? Don't you know that I carried him inside me for 9 long months?
And you made his life very difficult for several times that amount of time. You've had your chance to change, but now it's clear that you never will. As long as you stay away from us, we won't have any problems. After we threatened to sue Tiffany and George if they ever came near Jerry and I again, we never had another problem with either of them. We even made them sign notarized agreements that they would never contact us again. And we made sure to include a clause that if they ever broke their promise, that it would trigger a police complaint form to be filed with the local authorities. Inside that form would be explained how Tiffany and George kidnapped Jerry and locked him inside Tiffany's house. Unfortunately for Tiffany, George was able to escape when her neighbors heard her shouting for help from his room. We talked to some of them and they agreed to serve as witnesses if we took Tiffany to court. It turns out that Tiffany already had a terrible reputation in the neighborhood for how mean she was. But with this little event, rumors about what she had done again began flying around her neighborhood without us having to do anything. Now I hear that hardly anyone even speaks to Tiffany anymore. Both Jerry and I were rather happy to hear about that turn of events, since we were worried that the truth about Tiffany might never come out. Of course, both of us wanted to report her to the police right away, but we figured that we could get more out of her this way than with the mere fine she might be made to pay by a court. And since Tiffany lost access to us, she began to pester her other son more and more for them to move in with her. One day, George even tried calling our phone to try and complain how it was all our fault that this was happening. But Jerry only needed to remind him of their contract for George to hang up immediately out of fear of being sued. Jerry and I had a really long laugh about that night that it happened. However, we realized that it was only a matter of time before the statute of limitations would render that contract useless. So Jerry and I agreed to pack up our bags and move to another state without telling any of his family. We talked to our companies and managed to find a location that had branches for both our offices, and were able to move there. Now we're happily living in a new home and enjoying out normal, ordinary lives with no crazy family members pestering us all the time. As for Tiffany and George, Jerry and I haven't heard from them since our move, and that is the way that we would like to keep things forever. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to see more content like this.
Rhea, I've made up my mind. I'm gonna quit the job I have now and change to a different career.
What? You're already planning on quitting now? It's been less than a year since you got that job, right?
But I'm tired of working for a company like this. The work I'm being made to do right now just doesn't work for me, you know?
But I think it's too soon to quit there already. I think you should rethink things one more time. If you leave that job this soon, then it's going to be very difficult to find your next job.
I'll be fine. I happen to already know where I plan to work on next and in what field. I won't be making as much money as I do here, but the work looks really calm, so I think that I can make things work here for a very long time.
You're going to be making even less again? I'm starting to think every time you go to another job, you lose close to $1,000 a year.
Well, this job is gonna be a lot easier for me, and I won't have to stay up past 5 as often. So I understand not making as much time around, but at least I'll be happier.
Are you sure you'll be happier at this new job?
I think so. I hate working jobs that force me to overwork like the one I'm dealing with right now. To be honest, I don't want to work that much in general. As long as I'm able to find a job where I don't have to do that much, I don't mind losing a couple grand a year in terms of income.
Well, what about our lives at home? I hope you don't start expecting me to pick up the pace because you want to relax and not work. If you were to start taking care of the house more, then I might be fine with you going to that new job. But,
Are you talking about the chores?
well, if you're not going to be at work as often, then you'll have more time and energy at home, right? So you can take care of the chores more often. Right now, I'm having to manage both my own job and the chores. So if I'm going to be the one making more than you and working more, you can start doing the chores around this house. Then there will still be balance when it comes to our responsibilities.
What? I hate doing the chores.
If you don't start doing them after leaving your job, then I'm not going to be a happy camper. It's hard on me having to work and do all the chores right now. And when it comes to you, recently, you've been spending a lot more money. So be careful there. If you're going to be making less money, then you're going to have less in terms of savings.
Am I really spending that much?
For the past year now, you haven't spent any money on food for us or the bills for the house. And to make matters worse, every month I've been having to put some money into your accounts for you. I have to do that because you always tell me about how you never have enough money. To be honest, it's a bit strange you're not even helping me with any of the bills. If you're not going to be making as much, then you're not going to be getting as much from me anymore.
Come on now, you're the one making the most money here.
This is not about how much I'm making. You don't pay for anything in the house. You don't do any of the chores. Do you not see you're acting a little funny there by not taking care of anything when it comes to this household? If you're going to continue to not pay for groceries, or the electricity, or the gas, then you need to make up for that all elsewhere.
Alright, Rhea, I just need to handle the chores, right? I'm horrible at them, but I'll do my best to get through them all.
Thank you. This is a promise, all right? Next month, I'm going to be heading on a business trip. I think I'll be out of the house for around 2 weeks or so.
You'll be gone for 2 whole weeks? This is the first time you've ever been out of the house for that long.
I was left in charge of handling a new department that's out of state. So I'm going to have to head out and train some people for 2 weeks in order to get them all in shape.
I'm not sure what that's all about, but I can tell it's gonna be a pretty important job for you.
I'm thinking starting next month, I'm going to have a lot more work on my plate in general. That will all depend on how things go with my work now, though, of course.
Well, that also means that you'll get a raise, right? That's amazing.
All you seem to think about is money, Nico.
That's not true at all. I'm just really amazed to see that my own wife is doing so well inside the company that she's working for. And the fact that she's gonna get a raise is even better.
Well, I guess so. I've actually really wanted to work in management, so this is like a dream that's finally going to come true for me. Which means I'll be out of the house a bit more often, so make sure you take care of things here. While I'm out of town for work, make sure you don't dirty up the house too much.
I will not. Why are you getting so worried about the house and I anyway?
Well, because you barely ever clean.
Hey now, that's pretty rude. I've been doing a lot more of the chores done for you recently, haven't I?
That's true. Compared to how things were before, thank you for that. But soon, I'm going to have a lot more going on with work, so I'd like for you to do a little bit more yourself at home.
I'm still not used to the amount that I have to do now. Can you just let me take care of my responsibilities now, and then we can talk about me doing even more?
Will you, though?
By the way, Rhea, when you start bringing in even more money, we'll be able to afford a lot more things, right? Which means I'll be able to use more money, right?
Just because I'm going to be making more doesn't mean we can start using even more. I still plan on having money for when we retire, so that's what I'm wanting to put all this extra money into.
You really have it all figured out, don't you? Before we get married, you were trading stocks even.
We don't have any kids right now, so we do have quite a bit of money that we don't have to spend on them.
But I want to put all that money into retiring so that I can retire early and you and I both have a bit of cushioning in case anything bad were to happen afterwards.
Retirement, huh? I like to think that as long as I'm having fun now, the future doesn't matter. I haven't really put any thought into the future, you know?
Well, it's best you start too. Remember that as time goes on, things like your health won't always be there for you. You have to make sure you have a plan for if things go south.
But before you and I are gonna be able to retire, we're gonna have to take care of the parents. I'd really like to live with my parents at some point.
What are you talking about now? I don't really think we need to be having your parents live together with us. We can still take care of them while we live in separate housing.
But what about when they really need us around them like 24/7?
And when that time comes, we can think about what to do. There happen to be a lot of services around now that can help with the elderly.
What the heck? Do you hate the idea of living with one's parents?
Kind of. To be blunt, I'm not really into that sort of lifestyle.
Why not?
The way I'm going to explain this is a little bad, but your parents happen to really love using money, right? Just the other day, you were telling me about how they borrowed some money in order to gamble, right? I feel as though if they started to live with us, or us with them, I'd only have more things to be responsible for.
I get that those two happen to spend their money a little carelessly at times, but it's just gambling, and, they like doing that. Besides, they have no other hobbies, and you happen to make a lot of money, right? Having them in our care would not harm you at all.
What are you talking about? You're acting like I'm making millions when the amount I get every year isn't much more than most other people around us. I'm not some millionaire, all right? If those two don't find themselves different hobbies that cost less money, then I'm not going to let us live with them. Gambling is a very dangerous thing to enjoy and can lead to many bad outcomes. It can become an addiction and lead to loads of money being lost.
What the heck? You're just being really ignorant right now, you know?
How am I being ignorant? I'm just telling you the truth and how I feel about it. And this is all on top of the fact that I have to worry about your future for you as well. I do not want to worry about anything else besides ourselves in this house.
Fine, I get it. We don't have to talk about this stuff anymore.
Nico, how are things going for you? I still have a lot of work left on this trip, so are you managing okay?
There is not a single problem here.
I hope that's the case for you. Have you been taking care of all the chores and such like I asked?
I'm making it all work. Although I was a bit busy today, so I couldn't get as much done. I'm pretty worn out now, so the plan is to get to bed early tonight.
Is that right? What were you busy with today?
Moving and all that? I mean, that's all that kept me on my feet all day long.
Moving? Who was moving?
My parents.
Your parents ended up moving out of their house then?
That's right.
I didn't know they had plans to do anything like that. I'm a bit surprised. But at the same time, the house they did have was a bit too spacious for just the two of them. Where did they end up moving to?
Our house?
Our house? You're talking about...
That's right.
Huh? What do you mean?
I'm saying that my mom and dad will not be living in our house with us. All their things are already in the house as well, so it's already been decided.
You're lying. Have you really decided to have those two move into the house with us already? Did I not tell you that I didn't want to live in the same house as them?
Well, it's not my fault that they both were having a hard time and asked me to take care of them. I just couldn't leave them.
But why the hell did you do all of this without talking to me about it first? What the hell were you thinking? You cannot decide things as important as that without me.
Well, I'm just letting you know about it right now, so that I didn't make this decision on my own anymore.
This is not a freaking joke, you dumbass.
Anyways, they're both finished moving into the house now, so no matter how much you complain, it is not gonna change anything. Here you go. Now my parents and I will be waiting for you to come home.
I'm sure both your mom and dad know about the amount of money I'm making right now, right? That means there's no way I'll be able to make enough money for the future I've been wanting. And now that there's 4 of us that'll have to live there, the house is going to be cramped. Are you really okay having no privacy now?
Come on, Rhea. I want you to make this place into a family home.
There are only 2 rooms in that house and a living room. That's it. And with only 1 bathroom and shower, there is never going to be a privacy there.
You don't gotta get all worried about all that, okay? They're your family. It'll be fine. Okay, let's be real about all this. As my wife, it only makes sense that one day you were gonna have to take care of my parents. So shut your mouth and deal with this.
Had they been in a position in which they needed our help or else they would have become homeless, I'd have been fine supporting them. But in your mom and dad's case, they both were playing with fire and got burned. Starting today, they're going to need to give up on gambling for good.
You're gonna take away the one thing that keeps them happy now? They've both worked so hard for all their lives to enjoy what they love, so just let them enjoy their retired lives the way they want to.
Then tell me where they'll get the money to enjoy themselves. Is that money expected to come from what I make? You and I have a future we need to save up for, and that does not involve them taking half of it from us. I do not like gambling, and will not allow my money to be used for it. So if you want to take care of them and their addiction so badly,
then you pay for it.
Why are you so upset about them? And you don't really care about anyone besides yourself, do ya? Are you even human?
Am I even human? Ever since you and I got married, I've had to settle for your selfish acts and raise you like you're my child. So you have no right saying something like that about me. Considering I'm the one who is supporting you right now?
If you're not gonna take care of your husband's parents as well, then you're not even a wife. I'm disappointed in you. Stingy old hag is all that you are now.
All right then, that's it. I've had enough of this. Go ahead and do as you like, Nico. But just know, I'm not coming back to that house now.
What are you saying? You're almost done with that business trip, right? You got nowhere else to go besides here.
Just you watch me. I'm not going to go back to you or those two addicts of yours. Who the hell would though? Nobody wants to go back to a place that makes them suffer.
Hey, did you do something? I'm not able to use the credit card anymore.
That's right. You shouldn't be able to. I made sure to stop all the credit cards you have that were under my name. Also, all of the subscriptions you're on under my name, the internet to that house, and the water, gas, electricity, they have all been ended and cut now, and you will no longer be getting any money from myself either. I'm not handing you another penny.
What? My lifeline as well? What the heck are you thinking? Are you gonna steal everything I have from me?
How am I stealing something that I've been paying for? I promise as long as you start to pay for your own things, I won't touch them. I'm done taking care of you, so do what you like with the money you have.
Are you really still upset about having to live with my mom and dad now? Just give it up already!
Why do I have to be the one to put up with all your crap? I'm done being your bank for you, and I'm sure as hell not going to be your parents' bank now too. If you really want to help your parents out that badly, then you do it with your own money. Calling me stingy and anything but human is not going to help you.
How much longer are you gonna be that stubborn about all this? This is your own house here, right? Having me pay for all the bills here would be unfair to me.
Hold up. Did you know that I've been paying for all that myself this whole time? You never said anything about things being unfair for me then, right? Are you just upset because I'm finally making you pay for some things now? And that's the reason you think things are unfair now? That's odd, isn't it? You're kind of contradicting things now.
You're the one making all the money, so it's fine.
That kind of thinking is odd as well. I don't ever remember saying that I was working this job for the sake of making sure you don't have to work. If you want to have a happy life where you don't have to work forever, then you start picking up the slack and working yourself. I'm done looking after every single one of your needs.
Alright. I should be the one paying now, right? I'll do that then. I don't need you to help me out anymore. I'll be the one to take care of my parents.
That's right. You go ahead and do that now. You're going to have to put in a lot of work now caring for both your mom and dad, so the best of luck to you. If you come crying back to me looking for help, it's not happening.
I'm not gonna cry to you about anything. My parents are still getting some social security, so with what I will do, I will make something work. If you don't want to come back to us, then fine, go ahead and leave. I wouldn't even want a horrible wife like you back in this house anyway.
You can cut all of that out now. I already told you I'm not coming back, so that's that. When I'm done with my work here, I'll find myself somewhere to stay for a while.
We'll see. Do whatever you want, huh? I can't do this anymore. Rhea, come back to me, please.
What did I say? Don't come back crying to me. And look at what you're doing. It's only been 1 month and you've already faltered. Is it all really that bad for you there?
I never expected that my parents would use this much money. And when it comes to the house, it's only getting more dirty. I just can't do this anymore.
But you're not going to ask for my help anymore, right? Last month you were talking to me like you'd be able to handle things all on your own and didn't need me.
Well, I've finally come around to realizing just how much I need you. You're not only necessary for your money, but your ability to clean and cook and do the laundry. You've been doing all that for me before, right?
You're only just finding that all out now. I'm sure there was more than enough reason for you to have understood all of that back then. What is all of this now?
But now reality has really hit me. The amount of things that you did to keep me happy, I get it. I'm sure that you were even doing some chores for me still, after asking me to take care of everything, right?
Does that mean that house is like a dump right now?
Not a dump, but I've been still trying my best to keep things tidy, so it's not that bad. But every time I'm trying to get the place clean again, my parents come home and ruin it all again. Seeing them behave like that has really started to piss me off.
Didn't you do that same thing with me, though? You really took after your parents, I guess.
I'm really sorry for all that. I'm sorry for calling you stingy before, okay? I'm asking you to please come home.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going back there. I don't want to. I've chosen to get a divorce from you, Nico.
You're lying, right?
I'm very serious right now. And after that, I'm going to have the three of you leave that house for me. I'll be selling it here soon.
What? You're gonna sell it? This is our house, right?
I'm the one that bought the house, and my name is on it. It is my house, not our house. So I can do whatever I want with the place, right?
But if we're kicked out, then what do we all do?
You better start looking for an apartment you can afford with your income then. Then if you still want your parents living with you, bring them along too. You want to care for them, right?
I don't want us to get divorced, all right?
And I don't want us to be a couple anymore, all right? I've already been talking with a lawyer about all that's gone on. If you don't agree with me on this, then we'll have to take this divorce to court. Court costs a lot of money, which I'm able to afford. But can you?
But in a divorce, we gotta split our properties, right? That would mean that half this house would belong to me, right? I might actually have been able to keep this house then.
You're talking about our shared properties as a married couple, right? That house you've been living in was bought by me before we got married. It will not be affected by the divorce in any way.
Huh? What do you mean by that? That's part of the rules when it comes to splitting our properties?
That's right. My car, as well as the stocks I own, are all things I bought before we got married.
But all that money in our shared bank accounts will just be affected, right? I'll get half of that, right?
Well, it will be part of the divorce, but you're not going to be getting a whole lot if that's what you're trying to get at here. Because you always spend a bunch of money, there isn't much money left in that account. And I'm planning on getting a settlement from you in this divorce, so the remaining money will all need to go to me.
Why are you getting a settlement from me now? That's something you'd do if your partner was like cheating on you or something like that, right? I've not been doing anything like that.
It's not just when someone cheats on the other. It's when something is caused by one of the partners that the other is affected by in a negative way. For instance, you having your parents move into my house without ever asking me first. And when it comes to you never paying for any of the bills we had at home, I even have a good enough reason to get a settlement from you after all that money of mine you wasted.
Then how much would the settlement be?
I wonder how much I could get from you. Maybe enough to where you won't get a single dime in this divorce?
There's no way you can take that much from me. No way!
You think you can have a say in all of this when all of that is my money that I've earned and have been giving you so you don't have to work and can just relax all day? This is what's going to happen, Nico. The only thing about any of this that one should be saying no way to is the life you and your parents live. You have all wasted my money and my time.
If you divorce me, then I'll be done for. I don't even have the money to get myself a lawyer, so what can I even do here? If you take me to court over this, then I'm gonna need to get myself a lawyer to defend myself, right?
I don't care about what problems you'll be faced with. You figure things out yourself when it comes to all that. I'm done letting you have the easy life.
Alright then, this is what I'll do. I'll have my parents kicked out of the house, and you won't even have to care for them at all, Rhea.
And?
So now you don't have to get a divorce now, right?
What? So now you're going to toss your parents out? After all that blabbing you did about letting them stay with us and then bringing them in without ever telling me.
I want to show you that I can listen to you. I promise you that from now on, I will no longer make any unresponsible decisions, and I won't cause any problems. So please, can you just find a way to refrain from getting this divorce?
Do you have any idea of how much an idiot you look like right now?
I do! I understand it's stupid of me to ask you to forgive me right now, but without you, I can't live on in the world.
We all knew that. You're a textbook example of a parasite after all. If you don't have yourself a host, you will die. But from now on, you're going to be the host.
What? Wait, what do you mean by that?
Your parents happen to be even stronger parasites than you, right? I think they're going to suck you dry off of everything you have until you're nothing more than just skin and bones. Once you're at that point, then you might be able to understand how I was feeling not too long ago. I don't want to have any part in all that though, and that's why I'm going to run as far away as I can from you now. After that, I had my realtor go and kick my husband and his parents out of my house. They were very reluctant at first, but after about 30 minutes of crying and laying on the floor asking to please be left alone, the realtor had the police come and resolve the situation once and for all. Then, Nico and I got a divorce, and I didn't have to give him a penny after. After being kicked out of my house and forced to find a path of their own, those three found some way to continue on. But the apartment they ended up finding was both very small and very old. And when those three, with their terrible spending habits, get to a point in which they no longer have enough money, they start to pick money off of one another, causing fights left and right. Just like we were all thinking, that family is nothing but trouble. I'm sure Nico is regretting ever leaving his last job now that he's barely making enough to even support himself. Had he just focused on his own life and stopped acting like I'd always be there to support him, then none of this would be happening to him right now. I had been hoping that by some point, he'd learn to step it up and actually work for his money. But at this point, there is no hope for any of his family. From what I've heard about Nico lately, after the divorce he gained 40 pounds and became very sick. Since he had no money to spare, he couldn't get himself any healthy foods and resorted to nothing but frozen TV dinners to help sustain himself. When it comes to myself, I've moved into a smaller townhouse where I've begun my new life. I ended up not selling my old house and now have been renting it out to people as a bed and breakfast. It's a busy life having to manage both that place and my job now, but I'm able to manage and should be retired by the time I'm in my late 50s. Of course, that's if I decide not to find myself a new man and perhaps have a child or two between us in the next couple of years. Thank you for listening and watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.